We are now over 3.5 hours into this game, and it's starting to feel more like a visual novel rather than a point-and-click adventure. I'd like to say we are about a third of the way through, and it seems like about 85% of this game so far has been dialogue, about 10% travelling around, and about 5% actual puzzle solving. And that's not going to stop anytime soon. We are now at the Gnostic's office, and let's do what we have been doing previously.
The attempt to study spiritual truths has not yet transcended matter. The Gnostics of 2095 need a lot of stuff to pursue their studies. The former church that serves as their headquarters is crammed with scanning equipment, computers, and various other instruments of intellectual pursuit. A bookish woman nervously sneaks glances at you.
Professor Coronary? I hope that he is not a professor of medicine.
You see an intense, exotic man, whom you recognize as Professor Zaxton Coronary.
And there they are, Gideon Ashanti and Rachel Brock, fugitives from a system they served with faith and ardour, once pure and righteous, now expelled and hunted.
What the hell? How'd this guy make us? His write-up doesn't have him a looker.
Mystery to me, hon. Give it, Professor. How do you know who we are?
I could ask the same question, you know. If the transgressor's office knows of this location...
Feel free to panic, they know about it. They're just waiting till it's your turn to be the scrub of the month. Don't kid yourself. You're like everybody else, living at the whim of the hand.
We track what happens in places like reality containment. When the hand orders 2 ARC investigators scrubbed, that's news in the underground.
So you know us. That just makes things easier. You know we're not working for ARC.
Quite so. Very well. I'm listening, then.
Ms. O'Connor was killed the same night the scrub team came for us.
I know that, Miss Brock. She was murdered while she slept, killed by the people you used to work for.
Believe it or not, we're trying to find out why Deirdre O'Connor and 5 other people were scrubbed on the night we were attacked. If we can establish some connection between the victims, it might help us to clear ourselves.
There's no mystery here. Deirdre, along with another scholar, Wickersham Dodge, worked European and Asian black markets for virtual realities. She was good, too. She'd just picked up a dozen dreamscape realities in Istanbul. But at the same time, the Istanbul foray was reckless. She was reckless. We knew the hand was watching, that virtual media dealing in part with a legitimate religion could risk bringing the authorities down on us. She didn't care. It was as though she thought she couldn't die. She was an unusually physical woman. I suppose she thought she could fight her way out of any problem.
She was combat trained?
Not that I know of. But if she was, she would have been fearsome. She was, as I said, quite physical. Over 6 feet tall, quite athletic. But I know little about her past. You should speak with David. He's a novice here who worked as her assistant.
Is Deirdre an American pronunciation or an alternative pronunciation in general? In England, the way the name is spelt, it's pronounced Deirdre. Although, well, that's just from experience. Anyway, let's continue on.
Yes, I speak Latin and several other languages fluently.
We could have a use for that. The hand indulges in Latinate phrasing for much of its encryption.
I know, yes, I know. And you need a translator. But my services are not without fee. I have a job that requires someone with your skills.
What skills, Professor?
Skills that allowed you to evade a scrub team.
Don't ask us for a replay, Professor. Adrenaline kicked in. Reflexes took over, and we got really lucky. We're not mercs, if that's your angle.
What I have in mind is much safer. A simple breaking and entering. There's an antiquities collector named Blystock, who lives in a penthouse near L'Enfant Plaza. He has an 18th century manuscript, the Blaze Parchment, that we must examine. I see what you're thinking. The Gnostics don't usually resort to thievery, but Blystock obtained the parchment illegally. It was supposed to have been included in a secret auction in an exurban slum outside Jakarta. I was there to bid on it, but it never came up for sale. I learned later that Blystock had stolen the parchment en route to Jakarta.
Blaze parchment? This is familiar. We've come across this before.
Blaze was a scientist and philosopher, much at odds with the Enlightenment world in which he lived. Blaze's visionary work is said to have presupposed the essential structures of cyberspace. Unfortunately, his work was never published. Only this original copy remains. We must examine it. If you want my service as a translator, I'll have your service as a thief. Bring me the Blaze parchment and I'll help you.
We have picked up a number of objectives. And granted, I haven't completed many of them yet, but we will get to them. There's just still a lot of setup.
Excuse me, not to intrude, but did I hear Professor Coronary say you were going to retrieve the Blaze parchment from Blystock's clutches? Oh, I hope that's true. It would be a start to your redeeming yourselves for your ARC service.
You can shove redemption, Bookworm. We'll settle for survival. Relax, Bookworm. We spoke to Coronary. I wouldn't say we're welcome guests, but he knows we're not here to trash the place.
We're trying to discover why O'Connor was scrubbed. Any ideas?
She was, she was a Trodehead. She could jack into cyberspace. Oh, she had a deck that she claimed to have jury-rigged. She was very good, too. Knew her way around. She used to work for the Sustenance Authority until she, well, as she put it, edge-surfed out of transglobe culture.
That computes, Gid.
I suppose so. In a limited sense, it does. O'Connor was a natural target. So was an eschatologist like Schoenbrunn. And O'Leary owned to speak with Sinn Féin affiliations. But I still don't see the link between us and these subverts.
It seems fitting that where the altar used to stand in this former church, the Gnostics have mounted their main computer bank. Amidst the hush, heads bowed to their computers, this is where the core of their efforts are focused.
It's good to know that their lighting arrangement is more about efficiency than looking good.
A solemn boy in threadbare clothes stands near Deirdre O'Connor's desk. A square-jawed, decidedly unscholarly-looking man who nevertheless has the demeanor of one committed to work and study.
You can't search her desk until Professor Coronary tells me I have to let you.
Is this where O'Connor worked? You can tell us, boy. We're on the same side. Sort of.
There's nothing to search for now. Nothing to learn here. She was going to teach me so many things. How to fly in cyberspace, and how to explore the virtual in search of the real. Now she's dead. It's too late.
Maybe not, son. There might be something. Her decking unit, for instance?
Your goons got that when they killed her. It's probably tagged and collecting dust in some Pentagon sub-basement. Forget about it. You can't search her desk until Professor Coronary tells me I have to let you.
Let's just knock this runt over.
I'm inclined to agree, Rach, but we're already wanted. Any violence, and Coronary could turn us in. Hell, he may do that anyway. Giving us to the hand would certainly buy him a lot of goodwill with transgressions.
If you're with transgressions or ARC, you've come to the wrong place. I won't sing to the people who killed my friend. You can kill me before I do that.
Strong claim to be making to strangers, pal. If we were from transgressions, we'd take you up on that. But we're not the Heat.
Right now, I'm not doing a whole hell of a lot because my partner was killed. I'm just going through some of the data she was working with. Dee and I maintained and monitored covert hookups with international networks and bulletin boards. Not an easy job with ARC programmers raiding the boards looking for unauthorized hooks they can trace to their source.
Yeah, we're familiar with their ops. They trace the origin of the link and then they send the stormtroopers in. What were you searching for?
We were pushing the edge. Dee insisted we not play it safe. We were trying to score cyberspace decks in the European black market. Not easy since Europe's well within the hand's grasp.
No wonder O'Connor got whacked. ARC's got knuckles all over the continent. Only hope of scoring a deck is to launder it through a third party in the Mideast or Russia.
Why not ask her for that information?
What are you talking about? She's dead.
Yes, but she lives on, courtesy of her own handiwork. She spent months on this. Wouldn't tell me how she did it. And I haven't been able to crack the source code yet. How she did this with current technology is a mystery to me.
So what is it?
She programmed a source code that simulates her own personality, which is impressive enough. But then she also digitized her own voice, enunciating English language phonemes, and wrote programming routines that compose the phonemes into words on the fly. Amazing stuff. I don't know where she learned how to do this.
You're saying we can talk to her?
There's no visual output yet, but listen here.
Hey, Wick, what's booting your system?
There's some people here asking about you and about our work.
I assume they're legit. You gotta watch who you face with, Wicks. You're too trusting.
This is strange. We're talking to a dead person.
Yeah, freaking scrub teams wasted my proto. But the essential Deirdre is powered up and online. This has the potential to blow away an anti-deck interface.
So now what? We just asked this computer why O'Connor was killed?
Why not? Deirdre, can you shed any light on why the Hand chose now to kill you?
Hand need a reason to whack a techno-anarchist, post-humanist, entrepreneurial, free spirit obsessed with actuating the transhuman?
Alright, I guess that conversation is over. We have our answer. I believe the second location that we unlocked was the Psionic League headquarters. Well, the second location that we unlocked at the Transgresson's office. He looks like he's wearing leather or PVC. Although that doesn't really surprise me in this game.
You'd think the psionics could just phone it in, but no, they maintain this general storefront reception area at their headquarters in order to interface with the public. And the posters, especially the one over the door, are a reminder to members and recruitables alike that psionic powers can be as dangerous to the individual as to society.
Alright, that's the door. So where is the poster?
A young woman focuses her telekinetic energies as she hones her skills. A member of the Psionic League eyes you suspiciously.
Looks like you're working hard.
Columbus pushes us past our endurance and then some, but it's the only way to develop our powers. Talk to him yourself. You'll see. He's in the next room with Susie Toast, who's an ideal example of the work Columbus does here. Columbus had a big effect on her. She's become one of his most trusted assistants. It's almost like a father-daughter relationship between them now. I'm sorry, but speaking with you is distracting me. I'm afraid I'll drop the ball, and I'm working on a new personal endurance record.
Alright, it seems like some lines were cut in this conversation.
Hey, folks, zero in on Kate. She's had that ball moving for close to half an hour. Spatola's put her on an endurance circuit. She's to keep the ball going for as long as she can.
What about you? You're a telepath as well?
I'm not a mover or a looker. I'm a rare one, a synesthete. My perception of sensory data blends so that I perceive one sense in terms of another. Colors taste, sounds are tactile, smells prompt visions, and I can never predict how the senses will sort themselves.
Fascinating. That must be difficult to live with.
Damn straight. I couldn't hold a job. Tried working in a restaurant, but I couldn't take customers' orders. They would ask for burgers and fries, and I would register it visually as big yellow splotches dripping with grease. Tried driving a cab once, but I kept experiencing the road as a taste, and it gagged me so bad I couldn't drive.
You were experiencing the road as a taste?
And it was awful. Tasted like rotted flesh and motor oil. Took days to get that out of my mouth. Well, that was the end of my career as a driver. I was fast-tracking to derelict status before Columbus took me in and taught me mastery over my powers.
His clothes are quite the contrast. That is one very powerfully focused shadow. I like the circus act.
The Thinker's Think Tank, the strategic planning room for the Psionic League's brain trust. The need for a vidscreen shows, perhaps, the limits of their power. The globe, sticking out of the conference table like an exposed brain, their desired sphere of influence. A formidable man keeps several balls afloat telekinetically. A young, pleasant-looking woman practices her telekinetic skills.
Alright, let's talk to the pleasantly looking woman.
Have you come to join the League?
Not quite. We're hoping that the League can join us. We've got some serious problems that need psionic attention.
You'd better talk to Columbus. He's the founder of the League. We take our lead from him.
Can I help you with something? Are you psionic seeking help using your gifts?
We aren't psionic, and actually, we've come to help you.
I'm not aware that I need any help.
You won't know either until it's too late. The hand scrub teams don't usually call ahead to check if it's convenient for them to stop by.
You say the hand wants to kill me. You've got my interest. Keep talking.
No orders have been issued yet, but your activities are giving some high-ups in the transgressor's office the shakes.
The hand of God has nothing to fear from us. We aren't political, and we're sworn to never use our powers for gain. I thank you for the warning, however.
I heard what you and Columbus were talking about. You need psionic help?
Looks that way, but from what Columbus was talking about, it doesn't look like we're going to find it here.
Don't be too sure about that. I owe Columbus a great deal. But not all of us are as strict as he is about non-intervention.
So you're volunteering to help us out of this mess with the hand? What's in it for you?
I'm not the one who's going to help you. That would violate my principles as well and cost me Columbus's trust and friendship. No, there's someone else who might help you. Someone who has already fallen from grace. Someone I still might redeem. His name is Splits Magnola. He was a member of the League once, but Splits was a free spirit. He was jazzed on mind surfing, couldn't resist the touch of another's mind, and he couldn't submit to Columbus's authority.
You read a few minds, big deal. I'd probably do the same thing if I were psionic.
It's not as simple as that. The power is seductive. Splits started out innocently enough. Skim a woman's mind to see if she was interested. Project a scan during a card game to see if anyone was cheating. But it's a small step from there to planting an urge in a woman's mind or looking at somebody's cards through their eyes. Playing all the hands at the table. Making people throw away cards they should have kept. Things like that. Once you're inside, you flash on the brain's unending possibilities. You can't resist exploring. And Splits was careless. Lacked the mastery to be gentle. He would make mistakes. Mistakes that left permanent brain damage.
All right, so Splits is a Rudy, and he got blackballed from your club. Why should we want to hook with a disrep like him? And what's your share in this?
Splits isn't the lost cause Columbus thinks he is. I know him. He isn't evil, just weak.
Know him? You mean you two were lovers? Sorry, girl, we don't have time to run love errands. You want your boyfriend back, you go get him.
Oh, you're a tough one, aren't you? I wouldn't have him back if he wanted me. Sex is different between psionics. We share countless connections. Body entwined with body. Mind pressed hard against mind. I've been inside his head, and I'd never trust him enough to love him. But I know that I can't let him destroy himself. The last we heard of him, he was involved with a gang of psionic psychotics, calling themselves the Menials. They worked the black market for empathic resonances in order to fund their drug habits. If you can get him away from the Menials and bring him here, we might be able to save him from himself and gain you a psionic ally.
Maybe we're interested. Where do we find the menials?
They have a dive near the Capital South Station.
And they're dealing in empathics, right? What's their source? They aren't just randomly panning the malls, are they?
All I know is that they're strip mining pure emotion from the patients in a mental hospital. I don't know which hospital. For that matter, it might be a no-name CRISPR. Just keeping the patients alive and scared so the emotions keep coming. The menials have to be stopped. And you can help me.
Why should we?
Because that's my price for helping you with Splits. You bring him here, and I'll see that he helps you. The menials aren't empaths. They don't care about anything, so they have to employ collector units. They call them diggers, to help them harvest emotional energy. If you can bring me one of the diggers, I'm sure I can add a cyberfry to it that will stop them. Help me stop the menials and bring Splits to me, and I'll make certain he helps you.
Can do. Alright. Let's go to the eschatology offices. It's hard to work out which locations we can travel from, which locations we can't travel from. I mean, there are very few locations where it denies us.
As you might expect of an organization dedicated to the study of death and the end of things, they haven't spent a lot on decorating. But from the founder's wheelchair to the holographic demon apiary chamber to the Nike 12,000 computer, the equipment is state-of-the-art.
Hold on. Did they say demon aviary chambers? So is this a real-life demon in here?
A young woman exudes corporate professionalism and competence. A paraplegic is fused to the circuitry of a high-tech chair. Mechanical arms move in a swirl of activity.
So then, you arrive unannounced. You have business, I'm certain. You may state it, but be brief.
My partner and I are private investigators. We're looking into the death of one of your employees, Adam Schonbrunn.
He was murdered by the scrub teams. He was in this very office before the dawn. That's when he liked to work. And a government death squad killed him.
What was a purported crime?
The scrub teams are not burdened by justification. Christie has lodged petitions on my behalf with the transgressor's office, demanding, as his employer, to know the charges. But nothing. They tell me nothing. Chandran was a strange one. But then I guess anyone obsessed with the ultimate fate usually does appear, well, shall we say, intense. Or hard worker, though. Cross-disciplinary research, blending extra-numinal vision research with Dante mapping.
Would that get him killed?
It might, I suppose, if the government knew of it. But until Adam's death, only the people working on it knew it existed.
Something else, then. Something not related to his work here.
Or then I would be unable to help. You see, I know very little about him. He was quiet, about his past. I don't believe he had a family.
He and Roach used to drink at a speak called the Interface. That's all I know about him. Doesn't pay to have debases of personal information that the hand can appropriate.
You see that we can be of little help. As with all my employees, there is a template of his nervous system on file with Resurrections Unlimited. I believe... Oh, is his body in preservation there, Christie?
It is. We have him on a 6-year retainer. The damage to his heart is more or less reparable. The mortal wound was to his brain, and Resurrections believes it's at least 6 years from treatment.
What is this? You're telling us that this Resurrections outfit brings people back from the dead?
Well, not yet. But they are working on it, huh? Important work, or illegal work. They are a chemical company, as, what is the word? As a front for the real business. They are located in Arlington, not far from here. Hell is my business. Should you learn anything of interest about the underworld, I should like to hear it.
I'll think about it.
I've reservations about cooperating with these two, Hercule. We don't know them from a blood gang. They could knock us, and then we'd have a first-hand look at hell.
I refuse to live in fear of being shot by the Hand's death squads. And I don't believe any more than you do that the government controls the underworld.
We're going to end up in prison, no doubt about it.
We have some questions about Adam Schonbrunn.
All I know about Adam is what's in his file. I make it a point not to enter into personal relationships with the research staff. Peculiar thing about him was that Hercule had never heard of him. A number of people said that they knew him, but no one had actually met him or spoken with him.
You weren't suspicious?
Of course we were suspicious, but we're an illegal operation. We have enough of our own secrets. If an employee has something to hide, that's his business. And like I said, people vouched for his work, and we could see he knew what he was doing. He was especially gifted at extracting topographic data from psychologic subtexts of narrative events.
You mean that he was rendering a map of hell based on books and movies with hell as a subject matter?
Subject matter doesn't need to be hell per se. Any story that reveals human understanding of evil, lust, death, hate, or venal sin reveals something about people's subconscious conceptions of hell.
Any idea why the Hand would want him dead?
Yes. Dante mapping's a capital offense. What do you think we do here, tell ghost stories? If the Hand knew he was a mapper, they'd eliminate him. That stuff about permits was just a cover in case you were with the heat, which is why I was hostile to you earlier. We could be next on their list.
Hopefully. Alright, we are done here. Let's swing by the Resurrection Unlimited in Arlington. I believe they said it's nearby. Ah, there we go.